Hey, let's talk about one of the most common interview questions for senior leadership roles that's going to come up. That is, what is your leadership style? So, if you're stepping into a role where you'd either be building a team, either you're growing a team, or you are being called in to lead an already high performing team, then you can bet that this question would come up in some way, shape, or form. But it's important to also understand like what the interviewers are generally looking for. They're not looking for checking out the buzzwords. They're thinking like, hey, if I'm sitting across from this person and I'm looking at them, can I see them thrive as a leader in our organization? And then what is it that they specifically do that sets their team up for success? And a lot of the times people go wrong by going vague or putting in some high sounding words like, hey, I'm a servant leader who believes in helping people. They've heard it 1,000 times. So don't do that. What they're looking for is like, if you're looking to lead, then what core outcome are you going to get from the team that's going to move them to action? Because that's essentially what leadership is. If you really think about it, if you're defining a very outcome oriented definition of leadership, it's simply that you are able to convince someone and then you're able to move them to action. So all of the things, your skills, behavior traits, whatever is it that you do that generate that outcome would be your leadership style. So that's where we want to get into. Another mistake that a lot of candidates do here is they dive straight into a story in a star format, because that's typically the most common format that is being taught for behavioral interview questions, which is good, but this is not the place where you'd be using that star format. They're not looking for your story or a specific example. They're looking to understand your general framework for leading people. And why this is a great litmus test is because if you have truly built and led a high performing team, then you know the framework of doing the same repeatably. And that's the basic idea here. So all I'm doing here is articulating that framework because it's going to fit in your case for the most part, because that's generally speaking what good leaders do. And we're going to start with a simple end outcome of what we are looking to achieve is we want to convince people and we want to move them to action. And you generally do this by, one, establishing clear priorities and expectations. You create ownership by assigning clear decision makers who does what. You communicate as much as possible. Over communication has never hurt anyone. So you communicate really well upwards to the leadership, across the teams, and the outside stakeholders. You take care of people, so people take care of the business. Your job is not to push somebody to do things. Your job is to just enable them to do them. And then you help them make clear decisions. That's it. That's all you're doing as a leader. Like, these are the set of actions that you would take that would move people to action. So, and this is where another thing you want to get across is when you give an answer, it should sound realistic. It should sound like you're giving an honest answer, not a rehearsed one, because believability is going to be a key here. So an example could sound something like, hey, honestly, my leadership style is all about clarity and ownership. I make sure that everybody knows what the priorities are and what success actually looks like. And simply from there, I just create the space for people to really work on their own. So for example, in my last role, like when I stepped into this team, this was an ITSM team and that was struggling with shifting priorities and they were underperforming. It wasn't known across the organization. To fix that, I set up simple one weekly check-in to align on goals and made sure that every deliverable had a clear owner. And we just did that little change. And within a quarter, this is where the project timelines improved by 30%. Team engagement, of course, we didn't measure that much, but general morale of the team was way up. And it just goes on to show, like, this is my observation, this just goes on to show that when people know what's expected and they feel a sense of ownership, things move a lot smoother. Now, also notice as I delivered this answer, I hope it's not sounding rehearsed. It's just like coming across as something like, oh, it's in a tone which is like more realistic. It's more casual. It is as if like I'm having a heart to heart. So the answer is clear, practical, relatable, and clearly shows like, hey, these are the two things I did that moved people to action without sounding robotic or rehearsed. So hope this helps. And then, yeah, all the best.